Oh, welcome back. Phew. We've been busting out some stuff here. I tell you what. I guess really the last video on the belly tank, we worked on the cockpit area. We did have, or it was a little bit longer than I anticipated because we messed up on our lift mechanism, stuff like that. But there's still quite a bit of stuff I want to do to the cockpit area. So I think this is going to be cockpit continued. Yeah, I want to get that kind of cleaned up a little bit before I kind of work on the radiator and gas tank, all the other little kind of stuff. So I think we're going to figure out our release mechanism for the front and for the back. And for that, I think we're going to use our cool bomb drop that we have, maybe. Hope I can get that to work or figure that out somehow. We need to do that. I need to figure out a place for the start button and a few of my gauges. Not going to use a fuel gauge or speedometer or anything like that. I think I'm going to have an oil pressure and then probably my water temp. I think I have a few other ones, but I don't know if I'm going to use those or not. What do I have? Oil pressure. Oh, battery. So I think priority is oil pressure, and second is our temp, and then third we'll go with battery or something like that. But so we need a start button. Yeah, I don't know. I got some stuff around. We'll try to figure out, see what we got. We also have our trigger mechanism on our steering wheel we could probably use for something, but I don't know what yet. So we'll figure it out. So yeah, when I work on the cockpit, get that done. I know I need to do 2 support braces on each side and just kind of straighten that up, clean that up. But yeah, I think we're getting there. I think it's looking cool, man. I mean, of all the belly tanks that I've looked at to see how people are doing them and stuff like that, I haven't seen one with our joystick shifter. Yeah, it's probably not as conventional, but man, I think it looks cool. I think that really sets it off, and that's really gonna be freaking cool. I'm excited about that. So we still got to do our steering brace. I talked about that in the last video. Just kind of stiffen that up. I have a bunch of gussets and triangles and stuff to put everywhere once we get farther along, or once we get kind of stripped down or whatever. So all right, well, I guess let's work on cockpit video number 2. Here we go. Well, I think the spot for this is going to be right here, about like that. So I think that's what we're going to try to go with. I had the top tank closed, set in here, got it kind of close, so I'm going to be right here on this top rail, right off of our bolt here, kind of tilted, and it'd be easy for me to just switch over and pull one of these back. So let's figure that out. With any of these, you know, you're really tight on space, but I really wanted to use our bomb release for our hatch release and stuff like that. So really the only place where you can get to it without interfering with the shifter down here I thought would be cool, but don't have room unless I had pretty much make a new seat to notch it in the middle. But I think what we're going to do is pretty much come off of this right here, kind of angle that like that, and that's going to give us exactly what we need. Still be able to use it because I know our one release will be here, probably on the other side too, with our bear jaw latches. Bear jaw, bear claw, I've seen them both ways. I have no idea which one's right, but you know, the claw. So I think we're going to try to make a mount for this here. Maybe we'll angle it just a little bit like that, possibly. We'll see. So yeah, we'll figure out the mount, and then we'll figure out our cable routing. You can see the back of this here. Each one of these bottom levers has one of these little slides that we can put some wire in, and then it'll pull it that way and through our grommet here at the bottom. So one thing at a time. Let's figure this part out first. Well, I don't care who you are. That looks very cool. I sat in there and got it placed where I wanted. So they're kind of fit a good position. We got a slight tilt to it. And you can see where that's off there. It's because of our plate back here that comes down to give room for the pulleys inside when they turn. We'll end up putting some lock nuts on these or some nylon nuts once we do the final assembly. You see we're kind of canted a little bit to the inside. That kind of gives us a little angle inside to make it a little bit nicer. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and weld this plate to here. And that part will be done. Looks very cool. So you can see we have our 3 ports here. This far right one, which will be here. We'll probably try to use that one for maybe our front hatch to open up, and we'll use this one for our rear. I don't know what we'll use the center one for, if we will use it at all. But yeah, so we'll have to figure out a way with some pulleys and get our claw latches and stuff like that. Let's get this knocked out real quick. Sweet. All right, this looks pretty cool. Yes, that looks freaking amazing. So it works real easy with this slide back. I'll show you the pulleys and stuff underneath once we get that taken apart, but this is huge. That's so cool. Man, I think that looks really good. All right, we'll get this back up and we'll start figuring out our clasps. And we also need to make our wedges. Kind of show you what I'm talking about for our wedges that's going to line the tank when it comes down before it goes into the claw latches. Just say my hand's the outside of the tank. Here's the inside. We'll have a plate of some sort that's angled like this. So imagine that. And then on the frame, we'll have a piece that's mounted like this. So when the tank comes down, even if it's out here, it's going to hit that, and then it's going to slide it over where it needs to be. Same for both sides, because there's a little bit of spring in the back, probably quarter, 3/8, half inch, something like that, where we can play in with it. But to get it lined up where we want it perfect, you know, if it's sprung out and it hits that, once it pulls down, then it'll latch into our latches. So we'll make some little angles and figure out, and then we'll probably, more than likely, we'll bolt it. Unless I could do it to the gusset maybe on the inside, but worst case, if we have to drill through the tank, we'll attach it either with some of those some of those little bolts that we used in the back that don't have the heads on them, the little rivet heads. Man, I can't think today, it's hot. Or we'll use some brass or something like that. But let's see if we can get our angles and all that kind of stuff first, and then we'll get everything aligned. Then once it's aligned, then we can worry about getting our latches into the right spot. So let's keep on. So we have these 45s that we welded to the frame rails on each side, so left and right. Then onto the gusset, this is going to bolt on both sides. So when we lower the tank, it's going to hit these and it's going to slide to our stopping point where it needs to be. So it's automatically going to guide it. Even if we're off centered over here like this, it's going to kick it over and it's going to center us up. So this should work pretty good to get us centered. Once we get it centered, then we can take out our braces and we can work on our latches, which came in right here, and we got our pulls. So that will lock down onto our spot, and then our lever, I have a cable into this, pop it right open. So we'll get these welded in, and then we can get these braced up and clamped, drill our holes, and then these two sides should be pretty good to go. We got both of our little wedges and braces put in. So we got our 45 welded here, and then we have that bolted to our gusset. So you can kind of see it there. And on the outside, we have a mark on our clamp, which are temporary braces and stuff for here. So we know where we're lined up perfect. Same thing within the front of our marks. So we know everything exactly where we want it. We want that for when we put in our bear claw, so we know where to put it. But I'll lift this up and then I'll kind of see if I can get an angle so I can kind of show you how it lines itself up. I tried to line this up so you can see I put two little pieces of white tape, one on our permanent fixture and then one on our downward, that should line us up. So I kind of want to see when I lift it up, when I put it down, hopefully you can kind of see if it comes in crooked, how it'll self-align. So yeah, let's see if that works. So I don't know if it did it. Let me try it again. So we can move the tank back and forth. Let's see if we can take it down kind of crooked and see what it does. So there for crooked, and then if we push it, it pops right back into spot. Heck yeah. Well, time to figure out our latch mechanisms. So I showed you before, we have a right and a left of these, and some cables, stuff like that. So these are cool. So I went ahead and made some flat plate, welded a nut onto it. I'm going to bolt this to the inside of the tank, and then right or left will end up getting bolted to the actual frame rail. So what I did for the first side, just kind of show you what it looks like. This will be mounted to the tank. That'll be there. This is the down position. So I need to mount it in the down position because this is kind of angled. So I think once that comes down, it's going to push the tank right back to the exact spot where it needs to be. So I'm going to get this bolted in and try to get this lined up. It's pretty tight fit because I got the tank closed right now, but I'll see if I can get you in there to see it. Otherwise, I'll show it to you kind of in stages, I guess. And then on the outside, we're going to use these rivet head bolts. We had a bunch of those, but we ended up using this. Yeah, ended up having the cinch head bolts that we used, but we're going to use these on the front here. So we'll see how this looks. That don't loosen. Make sure I did these the right way. I might have to flip this bracket around, but so I get these tight and make sure that since this is in the down position that my other bracket is completely flat. And I'm not going to crank on these too much yet. It didn't take much to hold those. Okay, so oh, perfect. So we can slide in and out. That's a perfect fit there. So you can kind of see how we are there. Yeah. So now I just need to kind of get that centered where I want it. Mark it. And I just don't know if I'm going to drill holes and tap that, which probably what I need to do. For one, I had my outside bracket on upside down. That's why I was kind of adjusting wrong. I had to adjust this up just a little bit, so I'll put a washer underneath it. And then I got the latch and everything to work well, but this spring's, I guess, not strong enough to pop our tank up. So I had some of these other springs I just kind of sandwiched between the washer here. And then when you pull the lever, it gives it just enough oomph to push it up, and then you can just lift it up the rest of the way. So there's our left mechanism. You can kind of see it up closer now with our spring that's sandwiched bolts. It's kind of like that. And then on our upper bolt through our back of our bracket, I just welded a little piece of flat to it to kind of grab the spring, so it kind of gives it a little bit more bite. So with that, we have our 3 ports right here. So I think the way the tank comes out with our piece here, we're going to use this far right one to be this one to come out to this cable, or to this connector here for that cable. So we have our mechanism. We're going to first use this one on the right. So if you look back here in the back, when you pull that lever, it's going to pull that cable that comes out through here. So we're going to have to run our cable through here and hook it through here somehow, and then kind of figure that out. Well, we got our back plates off of here for now. What we need to do is run our cable through here, since we have a stop. Kind of see that's got this little built-in crimped edge already, so I'm assuming we're going to use that back here. And then up here, we can, once we get it tightened, we have a little Allen that we can use. So let's fish this through there. Okay, so then now, well, once we run it through, I have one of these clamps. Kind of see it's a 2-part clamp. It's going to come through like a figure 8 and sandwich it. So let's go ahead. Yeah, we'll try to see if this works. I have no idea. So then we need to fish it through our back port. Okay, and this should probably be the tricky part here. Yep. Okay. I'll get my, see if I can pull this out here. There's not much room to play with. Oh yeah, got it, yeah. Tell you what, I was in the military. I pretty much used these little suture little suture tool for pretty much everything. It's great little pliers. All right, let's pull this through. Let's see what we got here. Oh, nope, go, yep. Get around there. You don't need that. There you go. All right, so let's kind of get that where we want it. So if that's there, we need to take out all this slack. And still quite a bit of slack, jeez. Or back here, we don't have much pressure, maybe. No, I've never made one of these, so, you know. And I think we have a lot of throw on this, so we're not even going to probably use that whole throw when we do this. Just kind of see. I don't know if it's going to pull it through. Oh yeah, see, just that leaving halfway bit is pulling that. All right, let's get a little bit tighter here. Yeah. So if we have that like that, I need to probably like that, maybe. I wish I could lock that back somehow. I could pull it this way. I just need to make sure I got enough room to get my clamp on there. Oh. Should be about that, I'm thinking. Now let's see if we can, I don't know. Need to clip this, hold this here. Need to hold that there. You can let that go. All right, so now what I have here is my two pieces that go back. And we're gonna see if we can, and this is gonna be hard one-handed. Yeah. Well, come on now. Work with me. I guess I don't have to hold that now because it's pretty much staying where it needs to stay, doesn't it? All right, so let's see if we can turn this somewhere to hold it. All right, let's see. So we're going to split our two wires, our two little cables here, both ways. Let's get that loose. And we're going to sandwich that between there. And I have no idea if this is going to work. I did a sample piece just with some wire just to see if it would hold it, and it took. I pretty much broke it trying to pull the cables out, so it's not going to have that much tension on it. Okay, so let's tighten these up on here. I guess the good thing about this is I can loosen it and then tighten up some more if I need some more adjustment. But like I said, the throw to pull this thing is hardly anything, really. And we'll get that tight on there. Okay, so you can kind of see now we go through, and then we kind of got these little figure eight that's going to hold it. So let's see if we can, what can we do? Let's push this back. Let's pull our cable back through there. Okay. And we're what about? So if I do that, that's really bumming me out there because it's not wanting to line up. All right, to try to kind of show you what I did here, we got our line running through, and then I used one of our double clamps here, which hinders our movement. But again, we don't need much throw for this. So I might either try to cut one of these here, and I don't know if it's going to give me enough pressure. But we might try to do something. But right now, it's working the way it is. I just had my excess running through here until I knew everything worked. So I'm going to kind of pull off the lever here, put tension on it, so I can tuck this up in here. I'll put this cover back on so nothing falls out. Then I can let go, and then we'll stick it back in our holes. Okay, we're in all the holes there. I think, maybe, yep, we're in all the holes there. So you see we have a little bit of slack, and then our lever is actually about halfway back. Not a big deal. Looks like something's engaged anyway. So, but right now, so we'll lock it down. Still have play. So if we need to release it, that'll just pop it right there. So it's still plenty. That takes us almost all the way to the rear of our lever here. Right there. So if you look, it pretty much will take it straight down to the bottom is where we release it from. All right, so you can kind of see the top here. Our tank's locked. And then all we have to do is pull this, and that's going to disengage it. So that's perfect there. I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of this excess wire out of here, and then just temporarily put a bolt there. Then we know that this side's done, and then we're just going to kind of duplicate this exact same thing on the other side. We have both sides installed, but now we need to figure out how to get this cable over to this cable to tie into the same for the front. I have a large amount of these little pulleys, so I'm going to see if I can try to make them work. We got our latch installed on this side, and then we have our one pulley which runs to the other side to that pulley and then is connected to our main line. You can see we come from the right side around this pulley, and then we kind of tie in with one of our clips to our main line that we installed to our lever up here. So now both sides, you can see that one is locked. You look right up here in the front, you can see it's down. This one's down, and we pull the lever. We're up, and we're up. I mean, I think it's kind of cool. It took a little bit of adjusting here. So I'd throw it, and this one you would go first. So I just pull this wire a little bit more, tighten it, and then this one would pull, and then that one would pull. So now I have it adjusted by pulling a little bit more, that they pretty much pop at the same time. So yeah, I mean, that's freaking pretty awesome. So now we're going to use this side for the rear once we get that done. So we'll have another port that comes out that will go for the rear section. And then you have your main bar right here in the middle that takes both of them together. So we can unlock, well, it's getting stuck up underneath because of the little pin, but this one actually works both of them. So if we had to pop both at the same time for some reason, like it's going to blow them off or nothing, I don't know. But yeah, so we'll worry about the back later. I still got to figure out a bunch of other little stuff for that, but we're kind of focusing on the cockpit now. So that's done. That's a huge relief there. I guess I kind of want to figure out at least two of the gauges, maybe. See if we can get that kind of stuff in. I know I want the oil pressure and the temp gauge in there. So I guess that's the next bit. Let's figure out some gauges. Well, I'm excited again. I think I can actually do a dash. I recut down my template that I had and slid the 2 gauges that are here. They were up here before, so I can only see a bottom third of them. Scooted them down. I can see both of them now, which is good. But which is kind of cool is we're actually slanting it to get it to be able to see it right, which I think it was kind of cool. So I know I can use 2 for sure, and I don't know about any other ones yet, but I'll be able to do my engine turning. I'll put this down and then I'll show you what it looks like with it. When you're sitting in here, you'll be able to see those 2 gauges. I don't know if you can see the circles on them. They're right there, but you'll be able to see them just perfect from where that's at. When you're sitting here, that's kind of about the eye level that you have right there. So it's perfect. I can see the full gauges. So I guess let's build us a dash. So we got our template kind of evened up. It's uniform and everything. Probably put a few more things on it, maybe small like toggles or something like that, but not worried about that yet. Main gauges and get this thing made first. So I was hoping to use something I had here, but the only aluminum I really had that was thick enough was an old pre-runner skid plate that was not something I want to use for this or anything. I wanted it fairly smooth because I am going to do some engine turning on it. And then I had some old signs that had paint and stuff on them that just wouldn't clean it up. So I ran down to the Louisville Metal Supermarket, which if you all have one of those around you, man, they're just amazing. It's like a kid in a candy store, I tell you what. But I went out to their scrap bin and their cutoffs and found quite a few pieces of significant gauge that I need for the dash in aluminum. So I think I pretty much got scrap prices on that, which was just great. But man, if you all have one and they're as good as the guys in Louisville, Kentucky, man, it's awesome. So I love it. So anyway, got our template and we're going to throw it on some aluminum. And there you have it. Not bad looking, huh? Actually, it's like some lips or a big mustache. Anyway, it's been a long day, so sorry. All right, so we got this cut out. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and lay out my gauges so I can get my 2 holes and my center hole for the actual gauge on this. I don't want to cut the big holes out right now for the gauges because I need to lay out my lines on this to do the engine turning. If you're not sure what engine turning is, there's a few ways to do it. Oh, I got cut off by an alarm. So what I was saying was the old school way and the new way, there's a bunch of ways you can do it. The new way is they put it on one of the like plasma tables and they got like a little disc on it and they can just almost like a CNC and just hit perfect circles all the way across it. And they all overlap kind of when you're laying it out, almost looks like the Olympic symbols, but just like over and over and over. So you have a row and then another row, half center of that, just halfway above it. Looks very cool. If you're not sure what it is, look it up. It's pretty neat. A lot of people do it by hand with like a Scotch-Brite on like one of the little air tools or something like that. A few years ago, though, I found a company that has like these grinding sticks, and it's really coarse and really strong. I did another dash a couple years ago on a car that I had, and it turned out really well. And which is cool. It's what these are. This is like a 1/8 hole saw, and it fits. I mean, you have to press it in with the vise. Super tight fit to put it in the drill press, and I can just run through and do it like that. So this is what I'm going to do. I'll show you that once we get a little bit closer to that. But I need to go ahead and get my holes for the 2 gauges and then my center hole so we can cut that out once we're done. I don't want to cut those out now because when you go across it with that grinding disc, sometimes it'll catch the edge of it and it messes that up. So I'm trying to keep this as flat as possible. So I get those few little bitty holes cut, and then I'll do my grid pattern, and then we'll start turning. It's pretty cool though. Working on one of our support tubes. This one's a little more complicated. The other side's pretty much going to be straight. But you can see this one. We're coming down. I bent it to give me a little bit more knee room when I'm inside to line it up with the other one. Going to come down, and then we bent it to come around our release box, and then back to here. And then once we get to here, we're going to go from that up to here. Right, just kind of curve this down to curve into that. That'll also give me a handhold right here when I get in and out to get out. So that's mid progress. I'll go ahead and get this side up and weld it up, or get this tacked to this, weld that up fully, and then we can weld it on both ends. And then I'll probably put a little support brace from there straight down just to make sure. Piece is made and welded. Just kind of have it sitting in there right now. Kind of get the feel for it. So now I just need to weld it up on this side and down here. Got a little brace down there on the bottom. That's really going to stiffen it up. This also right here, when I'd get in and out, my hand always wanted to go for the frame rail here, which not a good area anyway. It's sharp and got our cables and stuff. So now I can use this as my leverage point for my body. So perfect there. So we'll get this welded up and then we'll get the other side. So get that done. We only have a short little bracket to make to go from our dash to here. And then we can take the dash out and we'll start doing our turning on it. But I wanted to get this in first. Didn't want to do the turning on that and then it gets scratched up or something like that. So we'll get this welded, other side, brackets, and then we can do the fun stuff. Well, for our connection for the dash to our frame here, we just made a nice little corner bracket, little angle, the hole in the top. So we'll bolt this in and then weld her up, bolt in, or make the other side, weld that up, and then we can take the dash out and do the fun stuff. Get this a little tightened a little bit so I can turn it. All right, that should be pretty good there. All right, well, dash is installed. Let's take out our little center brace there. And we got a little spacer there, so we still got plenty of room around there. I didn't drop it. Oh, awesome. All right, well, we're gonna unbolt this, and then I kind of show you the pattern that we're gonna go with, and maybe a few other patterns that's possible, just with some quarters. It helps kind of visualize it pretty well. Go ahead and get our grid pattern laid out on this, and then we'll start spinning. All right, I'll see if I can try to explain this engine turning or jeweling, what some people call it. It's just a load amount of circles that are overlaying each other, even different types of patterns. So first thing you have to do, once you get your grinding stone, they have different sizes, but this is an inch and a quarter is exactly an inch. So I'm going to kind of try to show you with this here. There's patterns where you can either start from the top or the bottom, but say we start from the top, you're going to go through straight across on a grid pattern, and then you're going to come back and you're going to split that. So halfway, half an inch when you do your grid pattern like this. And then when you come back to the next row, you're going to be splitting it half, the same like that. And you'll continue on by splitting these halves all the way down. You can kind of see the pattern. I mean, that's kind of three-dimensional, but you can kind of see what it's like from that angle. So you have it to do it that way. You can also flip it around, and you can start at the bottom, work your way up. So in this pattern, your crescent moons or half moons, whatever, will be going up the other way. People do it where you do a circle, and then you go inside the circle and keep going to its little, or you start in the middle and then kind of work your way out. It's almost like that Star Wars effect where it whoop, comes out like that. Other people, when they do their first row, they'll either quarter lap them or something like that to go across, and then they do the half across like that too, and it kind of throws it out. There's so many different patterns that you can use, or you can make up your own, but you can kind of see how that one goes. So they're all a little bit different how you do it. You can go halves. I've seen some people where they space kind of like that. They'll space off a quarter inch or so, and then they'll come back and do them like that. So it barely just touches, so you always have your full circles kind of like that. So it's just all a matter of what your preference is. I think what we're going to do is we're going to have all of our circles touching, and then we're going to come back and do our halves, kind of like that. I think that looks good. It's kind of the traditional looking look if you look back and see some of the guys that do it. Yes, you can go ahead and buy sheets of metal in whatever size that you want to do. That already has this done for you in a bunch of different patterns. It's really uniform, which is good. You'll be able to see some flaws in this because sometimes the circle's a little off or whatever. You didn't get the full pressure of this when you push down the grinding disc. So there are flaws, but it is handmade, and I want to say that I made it. So it is what it is. There's nothing wrong with buying the sheet that's already done. So yeah. So now that you know what that looks like, here's kind of like the grid pattern I kind of showing you. See how it's kind of like the Olympic symbols, how it overlaps? Same type of thing. So to do the grid, you just do 1/2 inch increments, and then you kind of space it off, and then you'll center your grinding disc into each one. So I'm going to start at the top, and then kind of will just work my way down to get to the end of it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this grid pattern laid out, and we'll go from there. Now that the grid pattern is laid out, this will kind of give you a better idea of what we're going to do. So we're going to start from the top, and we're going to work our way down so our overlap is on that side. So just kind of give you an idea, we're going to line our grinding wheel up on the bottom of our line. That way and then we got a center line mark to go off of. So we're going to go there, there. Let's just do 5. And then we're going to come back and we're going to line up with our bottom mark here, and in the center of our two square lines there. And then we'll go down to the next line. Something like that. So you can kind of see how the pattern's emerging, kind of like the sun coming up over the ocean or something like that, just kind of peeking out. But it does give a very cool effect once you get the metal on there. So well, you can kind of see what we're kind of going for here. And it looks pretty awesome. Kind of hard around the edges because I'm trying to even it up so we don't grind off a lot of our powder, but I think that's really going to look really nice in here. So yeah, there's a bunch of different patterns you can try. Just get you some stuff and practice. I mean, if you look really close at these, a lot of them aren't perfect. You can kind of see the laps. More pressure, it'll kind of hide more of the back rows. You can kind of grind those out. But I think kind of seeing them a little bit, you can tell that the front ones are a little closer to you, but you can still kind of see a hint to the back. I'm fine with that. I like the look and the shine of it. I mean, let's see if we can see you. I think that's pretty slick. So this does get pretty hot with all that friction going on. I'm gonna let it cool down for just a minute, get me some coffee, and then I'll keep laying it out. All right, real quick, I'll put the descriptions of this stuff in the body of this video and stuff, but these sticks are a round polishing stick from Cratex.com, Cratex. They have all different types of sizes. I got the 1 inch, and they have coarse, medium, fine, extra fine, but I got fine. That's what these are. So the number for these are Q0166F, as in Foxtrot. So that's what I use, but I'll put this down in the description. If you all want to get some of these, try them out, try different grits, see how they work. I think it turned out pretty slick. I like it a lot. And also for these hole saws, I usually use the conventional little hole saws you get at like the home improvement stores, just a bimetal. I was really worried about, because sometimes if you've used those, you know, when they spin, they'll kind of jiggle, or they're out of round, or they'll sling some of the metal and scratch it up or whatever. So I got some of these hole saws or bits on Amazon. I'll put the description for these two. It goes up to like 2 1/8. Nice little assortment in a little box for them. But it cut that aluminum like it was nothing, which is good. I've cut aluminum before with those regular bimetals. It bogs them up, and it just kind of looks ugly, but super clean. I can show you this. I did deburr it with my little deburring tool, but it really didn't need too much. I mean, you can see that's a super clean cut. Usually with those bimetals, you'll have kind of frayed edges out on the side or whatever. So yeah, it cleaned up well. But yeah, there's a before, and then there's an after. Big difference. That's crazy. It's so pretty. But yeah, try out different patterns. Send them to me. Let me see what they look like. Because this is the only pattern I've ever done, but I think it's pretty cool. So, well, you know, we got to put gauges in this thing to see what it looks like. So I don't care. If it's temporary, I'll take it right back apart. But I want to see what this bad boy looks like. Let's get that one in there. Let's just go ahead and get that somewhat on there. I'm not cranking all this stuff down right now. And some of the stuff comes with nylon nuts or nylock nuts. I'm not putting all that stuff on right now. Just use some regular stuff. finger tight there. Let's get this one on. So like I said before, I'm just using my oil pressure and my water temp. And then once we get this in there, I can always add something later if I need to. I got the gauges already, but I think these are the two priority ones that I think is really needed. Let's see. We're a little crooked. There we go. Let me just baby tighten these. But I think this is going to really set this off. Okay, we don't need that too tight. Let's see, we got gauges. We got our little bezel covers here. Stick that on. I'm not going to put all this hardware on here. I just want to see what she looks like. Yeah, keep rubbing this around so we can scratch it. Probably need to put a clear coat on that or something. You get some flat. I think all I got is gloss. So that's a hard no. Let's see here. Where are we at here? There's that one. All right, so oh, come on. I guess I don't need to put that hardware on there, do I? Lined up perfect. Look at that. Wow, that looks pretty freaking cool. Let me know what y'all think. We need to add anything else? I'm gonna put the top down real quick so we can get that view. And that looks really cool. And then our head's about where our eyesight will be. So we can still see perfect gauges. I mean, I think this is a pretty good continued video. I'm completely pleased. I'm glad I got my support struts in on the side. I have a leverage point to get in and out. Our front release is in. It works great. We have this one for the rear. Our dash is in. Got a cool angle to that. I think it looks good. I think the engine turning and the jeweling, whatever you want to call it, really set it off. I mean, it's very, very cool. I love it. I think that looks awesome, especially when the sun hits it a certain way. Man, it just, it's almost like that glim off of a record player or something like that. So there still might be a few little toggle switches, something like that. But once you're in here, you're pretty much only seeing pretty much this little arc right through there. So I really can't fit any more gauges. I mean, if I did, I'd have to kind of crunch down to see them, which not a big deal. Might have an option of countersinking them into here or on each side or something like that, like a little pocket. But I think for now, this is going to work really well. Still trying to figure out if I'm going to use this as my starter button. I have a button with one of those elastic cords, kind of like the old phone cords, if you're old enough to remember that. But yeah, I could mount that and run it back. Yeah, remember I said I wasn't gonna put that hardware in? I probably should put that hardware in. Whoop. There you go. So anyway, that's for the cockpit. I think that's pretty much it for the major stuff. There's gonna be some little stuff here and there that I got to work on. But yeah, this is freaking. I'm excited about this. This really sets it off. So next, really, I'm not sure. We have the radiator we have to get in, rear brakes, some of the rear hoops, the removable sections so we get the engine in and out, gas tank, battery box, stuff like that. But we are winding this up pretty good, so we're getting there. It's starting to be just a little bit of the little stuff, but man, it's coming along. It's been what, 6 months, 6.5 months. Really started this around the first week of November of 2023, so I've been busting it. So hope you all have been enjoying this. And with that, I'll see you next Friday. Have a good one.